You know, when you think of ghost stories, you probably picture some old, dusty mansion, right? Well, this one's different. It's modern, it's raw, and it all happens on a railway platform. So let's break down this absolutely chilling tale. All right, I want you to imagine this. It's 3 a.m., you're on a train, and it just grinds to a halt in the middle of nowhere. The station outside is completely deserted. The only sound is this howling wind, and inside the train, every single window is shut tight. It's like everyone on board knows something is out there, waiting in the dark.
So in one of the cars, someone who doesn't know what's going on, asks, "Hey, why do we stop?" And an old man next to him just whispers, "Be quiet, if you want us to live." Wow, just think about that. The way he says it, it's not a suggestion. He knows. This isn't just a breakdown. They've stopped in a place where something terrible happens.
But here's the thing, not everyone got the memo. In another part of the train, there's this young guy, Raghav, and he's about to make a huge mistake. What he does next is going to kick off this entire chain of events that exposes the station's dark, terrifying secret.
Okay, so what's so scary about this is how fast it happens. Raghav just looks out the window, sees a tea seller and a garbage collector. Seems normal, right? So he decides to grab a cup of tea. But the second he reaches for it, her hand just clamps down on his, like a steel trap. And then she changes right before his eyes into this terrifying witch. Before he can even get a scream out, the garbage collector's there, and that's it. It's just over. A brutal, perfectly timed attack by two ghosts.
So the train finally starts moving again, leaving whatever happened in Raghav behind in the darkness. And that old man, the one who gave the warning, he starts to talk. He says that to make any sense of what they all just witnessed, you have to go back a few months to hear the story of two sisters.
Meet Rita and Sita. Their parents just passed away, and their whole world has been turned upside down. Their entire future, everything, is riding on this one train trip to the city. Why? Because their uncle lives there, and he's their only hope, their only family left. You can just feel how vulnerable they are, can't you? They're completely at the mercy of this one relative.
And this really gets to the heart of their fear. On the train, one sister turns to the other and asks, "What if Uncle doesn't take us in? Where will we go?" That one question, it's just hanging over them the whole time. It shows you just how high the stakes are. They literally have nowhere else to go.
And this is how their journey ends. They get off the train at that exact same creepy, deserted station. Rita's thirsty, so the garbage collector tells her he can get her some water. He leads her into a back room, and that's it. He locks the door and kills her. When Sita realizes her sister's gone for too long, she starts looking, but it's too late. The tea seller grabs her from behind. You see, this wasn't random at all. It was a setup, a cold, brutal, calculated trap.
So the murder of two innocent young women is horrible, right? But believe me, the reason it happened is somehow even worse. Let's dig into what happened next, into the investigation, because this is where we get to the real gut punch of a betrayal at the heart of this story. And this is the key to the whole thing. There was no justice for them. The police, the government, nobody ever found the killers. So with their murders completely unsolved, their spirits couldn't move on. They were stuck, tethered to that station, and all that pain and anger just twisted and festered into this powerful, vengeful force.
Remember the old man from the train? Well, he couldn't let it go. He needed answers. So he goes to see a tantric, a kind of mystic, who finally uncovers the truth. And it's just devastating. On one hand, you have these two sisters traveling with all this hope for a new life, and on the other, you have their uncle, Nathulal, secretly plotting to have them killed. He hired those two men to murder his own nieces. And for what? For a stupid piece of land.
Then you want to hear the ironic part? The really twisted part? The ghosts never even touched him. He died because of his own fear and guilt. As the stories about the haunted station started spreading, the man who started it all, their uncle, became so terrified of what he'd unleashed that he had a heart attack and died. His own evil literally scared him to death.
But okay, so the uncle is dead. That should be the end of it, right? Nope, it doesn't bring any peace. The sisters' ghosts are still there, still furious, and still a danger to anyone who stops at that station. So the old man and the tantric, they realize there's only one thing left to do. They have to go back. They have to face the spirits head on.
And sure enough, at 3 a.m. on the dot, they appear, and they are radiating pure rage. But here's what's interesting. It's not just about revenge anymore. They want an answer.
They ask the one question that has been burning inside them, fueling all this horror. Why? Why did this happen to us?
And the tantric, he just gives it to them straight, no hesitation. He tells them the one simple, horrible truth. It wasn't random. It wasn't a robbery gone wrong. It was a betrayal. It was ordered by the one person in the world they thought they could trust, their uncle.
But just telling them isn't enough. For real closure, they need to hear it from him. So the tantric summons the uncle's spirit. And when he's face to face with the ghosts of the girls he had murdered, he just completely breaks down. He confesses to everything, crying and begging them to forgive him. This is it. This is the moment the whole story has been leading up to. A confession, straight from the source.
And that confession, it changes everything. It's like a key turning in a lock. It's what finally breaks the cycle of anger and pain that has trapped the sister spirits for so long. And that brings us to the very end of the story.
As their spirits finally start to fade away, you're left with this really heavy thought, you know? The scariest part of this story wasn't the ghosts, it was the all-too-human evil that made them ghosts to begin with. It's a pretty dark reminder that sometimes the biggest monsters are the people who are closest to us.
So with the truth out in the open and the apology delivered, the sisters ask for one last thing: mukti. Now, mukti in Hindu belief is basically the ultimate peace. It's spiritual liberation, freedom from the whole cycle of death and rebirth. Because they finally got the answer they needed, they weren't tied to this world by revenge anymore. They could finally, truly be at peace. And it kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Can justice delivered after death ever really be enough?